میخوام امروز یک داستانی از مولانا و شمس تبریز برای شنوندگان عزیز بگویم.
Today I would like to say a story about Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi and Shams Tabriz, which was his masters.
شمس تبریز یک روزی رفت روم اونجا پای تخت ایران و اونجا که رفت مستقیم هم تو رفت مدرسه که مولانا رومی برای شاگردان درس‌های دینی یعنی درس آخوندی میداد به مردم 700 نفر شاگرد داشت. وقتی که رفت اونجا مستقیم رفت پروای مولانا و مولانا این کتاب‌هایی که فرزاد نوشته بود شرح حال خودش و زندگانی اونجا. شمس تبریز از مولانا گفت اینها چیه؟ گفت که اینها قیل و قال به تو چه؟ تا گفت اینها قیل و قال به تو چه؟ شمس تبریز هم خود که دید این کتاب همه ریخت و خواب.
Well, one day Shams Tabriz goes to Rome, and at that time Rome was part of Persian Empire, and Rumi he was a scholar in Islamic religion, and he had like 700 students under him. And he wrote many books, like volumes and volumes of books regarding to religion, the goods and bads and do's and don'ts of the religion. So one day Shams goes to the school and sees Rumi with all his volumes of books, and Shams asks Rumi, "What is all that books?" And Rumi says, "Well, this is all a story. It's not your business. What you old man want to know about this?" And as soon as Shams heard it, Shams threw everything inside a pond. There was a pond, like water pond. So Shams just threw all the books in the pond.
این کتابا تمامش با شمس تبریز قادرش ریخت و حوزه‌ها مولانا گفت که من ببین با یک نفر آدم دیوانه هر زدم ببین زحمت 30 سال زحمت من داره تو این آب. حالا مولانا رفت آب که همه سیاه شده بود، آب مرکب چاپی که نبود، اون موقع سیاه شده بود. وقتی شمس تبریز رفت این کتابا همه آورد مولانا برداشت دیده این کتاب مثل که تمیزش کردن، پاکش کردن، اصلا هیچ سیاه نشده. گفت که این چه چی هسته، چه رمزیه. گفت این رو وجدهار میگم، به تو چه؟ و همه کتابا بیرون آورد و رفت بیرون. مولانا همه این مدرسه و شاگردا همه رو ول کرد و رفت عقب شمس تبریز.
So Rumi, by seeing all his books, the work of 30 years, has fallen inside the water. He was so upset, and he says, "What's this fool man had done to me? Look at it." And but Shams goes and picks up volume by volume of those books out, and then Rumi notices that nothing has been touched, and it looks that even somebody had dusted that written with ink. At that time there wasn't any print shop, so they would write it with ink, and nothing had been done to those books, and the books were perfectly nice and even looked nicer and cleaner. So this time Rumi asks Shams, "What is this?" And Shams replies that this is the true thing, it's not your business. And then Rumi at that time, by hearing this, leaves everything behind and just follows Shams Tabriz out of the school.
شمس تبریز از این مدرسه وقتی که بیرون رفت، مولانا همه این شاگردان، این زندگی ها، این تشکیلات همه را ول کرد و عقب شمس تبریزی رفت و صحبت کنون همطور پیاده بردش تا منزل خودش. تا 6 ماه مولانا رو شمس مولانا رو دیگه اصلا سر کارم نه، کارشم ول نکرد و تمام صحبت عرفانی رو تو خونم بیرونم نمیرفت. تا اینکه یکی از این روزا شمس تبریز به مولانا گفت من امروز شراب میخوام. مدتی هستش که شراب نخوردم و امروز شراب میخوام. گفت من دستور دادم دیگه ریشه انگور بکنه که کسی شراب درست نکنه. چطور من از کجا پیدا کنم؟ گفت که من نشون نمیدم شراب کجا هستش.
So Rumi leaves the whole school behind and follows Shams Tabriz to his home, and he spends with Shams Tabriz for 6 months in his room, in his home, and they just talk about the spiritual and then the irfan, which is the knowledge of knowing God. And they were talking about, all the Sufism and the path and God. But then after 6 months, then Shams Tabriz one day says, Rumi, I'm craving for wine today. You go and get me a bottle of wine. And Rumi said, but there is no wine in this town, because on my order, even all the wine trees have cotton, and there is not even a grape tree in this town. And what do you expect? There is no wine, and it's banned even by my order. Then Rumi says that, but I know where you can get wine for me, and you have to get me a bottle of wine.
Yeah. مولانا به شمس تبریز گفت که اگه کسی بفهمه اصلا خونه رو ما خراب میکنم که من پیشوای مذهبی هستم و شراب میخورم. گفت که حالا من نمیدونم. گفت اصلا پیدا نمیشه. گفت من نشون نمیدونم. اینجا محله کلیمی هستش، اینجا در میزنه. وقتی که منم بگو همه که تو رو میشناسم، بگو من شراب میخوام. اگر انکار کرد که من ندارم، تو خونهش یواش یواش با اجازه اون میری تو خونهش و 2 تا اتاق پلو هم روبرو تو حیاط ساخته شده. اون اتاق یعنی 3 تا، اون وسطیش لحظه شراب همطور چینده شده، اون مثلا 6 تا چینده شده، 7 تا اون وسطیش اون شرابه. اون بگیر برای من بیار. مجبور بود که دیگه فرمون شمس تبریز ببره را افتاد و رفت.
So Rumi kind of saying that if they find out that I'm having the wine, they're going to kill me. And they're going to, if they find a wine bottle even in your home, they're going to ruin the whole house, over your head. But Shams was insisting, no, you have to go and get it for me, and I know where to get it. You go to the town of where all the Jewish people are living and knock on such and such a door, and they already know you and mention that you want a bottle of wine, and ask the owner's permission to go in. And there are 3 rooms next to each other. And in the middle room, you go and open up the door, and then there is 7 bottles. And then the middle bottle is the wine, and then the rest are vinegar. So make sure that you pick up the middle wine and bring it to me.
مولانا کم کم حرف کرد، حالا این کلمه از تحتش میشناخت که این مولانا پیشوای دین هسته. همسان خودشو باخته بود، اصلا دیگه نمیتونست حرف بزنه. مولانا وقتی که گفت که نیستش تو بیا ببین، گفت این در این اتاق بازتون وقتی باز کرد رفتون دست کرد و شیشه شراب وقتتون رو کشید بالا و این کلمه دیگه مرده بود از ترسش. خب اگر میفهمیدن که این کار شده خب میکشتن. و مولانا شمس تبریزان به مولانا گفت اون شراب هم که برای من میاری دیرش عباد نمیگیری، همینطور سر دست میگیری که همه هم ببینم برای من بیاد. خب با ما رو که میکشن، ما رو که دیگه میکنن، خب من نمیدونم راه افتاده دیگه این کار انجام.
Well, so Rumi has to obey the master's order. So he goes to that person's home and knock the door, and then the guy opens up, and he was very much scared. He wasn't expecting him at all, and if he would find out that there is wine in his home, then he probably would order to kill him. But anyway, he said, don't worry, I just want to get, I'm craving for a wine, don't worry, nothing gonna happen to you, let me in. So he lets him in, and he goes sure enough to the second room, opens the door, and there were 7 bottles, and he grabs the middle bottle, and it was the wine, and Rumi wanted to pay, and then the guy said, no, just take it and leave. So he takes the bottle of wine and says, thank you, and leave. But another direction that Shams Tabriz gave to Rumi was that make sure that you are not hiding the bottle of wine. Make sure that you have it on your shoulder and everybody has to see it. So do not hide it under your coat.
بعدش این شراب حالا خواست پول بهش بده، شمس که مولانا پول نگرفت و از ترسی مرده بود دلیلی. بعد اون شراب برداشت و همون بیرون که رفت پولم نگرفت. هوا کشید روش و توی میدونی جلوش راه شد، اومد پاش خورد به سنگ و افتاد. کی مولانا. این شیشه شراب شکست، همه اومدن دیدن ای پاک برداره تو شراب رو حروم کردی، تنهایی میای زیر عباد میگیری و میری تو خونه میخوری و ریشه انگوره رو دفتر میده بگیرن و خود این کاره هستی. همه ریختن، همه فتک بهش میدنن علیکی و شال ترش هم با کردن، گردنش کردن، پیچوندنش که ببرم پلو. یکی دیگه عالم بود، عالم بزرگتر، خوب به قتلش بگیر و اعدامش کنم.
So what happened was Rumi got a bottle of wine, but he was scared to death. So he, instead of carrying it up on his shoulder, he hid it under the coat, and he was walking. And in the middle of the town and in the middle of the bazaar, that is the most populated area, it comes a stone, and then he falls, and the bottle breaks, and people happen to notice. And I said, what kind of preacher you are? You are a hypocrite. Here you are carrying a bottle of wine under your arm, and you are preaching that you shouldn't drink and you shouldn't do this and that. And then people started to throw a stone at him and kick him, and they got his turban off and wanted to strangle him, and then pull him all the way to the ruler at the time.
شمس تبریز که خوب همه این نقشه ها خودش کشیده بود، به موقع تیر ارز که تیر ارز میدونید یعنی با یک طرفت العینی هزارها فرسنگ را میرن که هیچ کس نمیتونه با اون سرعت میره، اون تیر ارز میگن به زبان عربی. شمس تبریز تهیه کرد اومد تو ملی گفت ها چیه چه خبره؟ این نامسلمون دستور داده ریشه انگورا رو بکنیم، حالا خودش پنهونی میره شیر شراب میخره میره تو خونهش میخوره، ما رو منبر میره ما رو دستور میده و ما رو هدایت میکنه. میخوام امروز بکشیمش، اصلا ببریم بخونه قطعی بگیریم و بکشیمش. شمس تبریز گفت نه، این که شراب نیستش، این که گلاب بودش، همه بو گلاب تو میدون پیچیده و همه تو رفتم و شیشه شکستش برداشتم و کردن دیدن که بو شراب نمیده بو گلاب بوده. هیچی، همه اومدن دست پای مولانا افتادن گریه و ما را ببخش و هیچی. شمس تبریز هم دستش گرفت و با یک طرفت العینی رفتندش به خونه خودش. گفت من بهت نگفتم دیر عواد بگیری، چرا ریاکاری کردی و دیر عواد گرفتی؟ این مثل بودی که تو بطر بخوری و بخوری که یه گروه باشی، یعنی شراب دیر عواد نداری و پنهان از چشم مردم پنهانی شراب بخوری. هیچی.
So, of course, it was all in Shams Tabriz's hands. He wanted all that to happen. So, Shams Tabriz did Tayol Arz, and Tayol Arz is the Arabic name which means one who is in, 6 plane, 7 plane, they can travel from one town to another town like in second. So, he came from Tabriz all the way to Rome, at the location, he showed himself and he asked people, what are you doing? What are you doing to this man, poor man? And then people said, he's a hypocrite, he's a preacher, he's so and look at him, he's drinking wine and we have to kill him and he cannot preach anymore at the mosque and all that. So then Shams says, but this is not wine, this is rose water. And immediately the atmosphere was filled with smell fragrance of rose water. And people went and smelled even the bottle and it was rose water. So then all the people, they apologized to Rumi and said, we're sorry, and then they kissed his hands and all that. And anyway, Shams took his hand and then they did again Tayol Arz, and in 1 second they were back in Tabriz. Then here, Shams says, why didn't you obey my order? Didn't I tell you not to hide it and you have to show it, keep it up above your shoulder? And why you were hypocrite? That you didn't obey my order and you were trying to hide that. And then this is why it happened and you got all these kicks.
وقتی که من رفتیم شمس تبریز چند روز دیگه هم بود با مولانا و شمس تبریز یکی از این روزا دیگه روزای آخر گفت که من میخوام اینجا دیگه برم و چند مدتی هم هستش که تنها خوابیدم. امشب خانم دیگه فرزند آقا که فردا صبحش من میخوام برم به محفظه تبریز رو میخواست از مولانا چیز بگیره، ببینه فرمان گذاری میکنه یا نه. این گنجی که مولانا شمس تبریز میخواست به مولانا بده خب ارزش داشت، روی ارزش نبود که همطور هیچ مفت بده بود. گفت امشب خانم بگیره فرمان بخواه. رفته با خانمش و خانمش هم خیلی دعوا و مرافعشون بود و تا دم غروب مولانا رفت موسیقی که اتاقا رو سر و تمیز کرد و لافم دو تا لافم خلوام انداخت و حالا مولانا اونجا وایساده دید که قبلا هنوز کسی نیومده جلوتر شمس تبریز رفته روی یکی لاف و خودش میشسته. حالا تشنگ مولانا خانمش رو مجبور کرد که تو اتاق کرد و در بست.
What happened is, the treasure that Shams Tabriz wanted to give Rumi, it was so valuable that Rumi had to go through all that misery and difficulties and all that trials. So, after that incident, of course, they were at home. And after a while, Shams Tabriz says that, I'm sleeping alone for a long time, and tonight you have to let your wife sleep with me. So then, of course, he has to obey. That was his master's order. So he goes and he sets the room, one of the room, he puts two mattresses and 2 blankets and all that. And then he goes and tells the wife, and wife says, "Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? You fool, what are you doing?" And she was very, very upset. But then Shams was in the room in one of the mattresses, and Rumi just pulls the wife in and locks the door on her back.
یه نیم ساعتی گذشت زنش داد هوارش بلند شد گفت بعد بیرام زنش رو خوابش یک شب که هزار شب گفت نه کسی اینجا نیستش. مولانا در رو کردن دیدن بله شمس تبریز نیستش. فقط وقتی که او رفته تو گفته به شوهرت بگو اگر من را میخواد بیا تبریز. من اونجا ملای خاموشم مردم میدونن کجا هستش. نشونت میدم اونجا دیگر رو میدونم.
So what happened was the lady...
و از چشمام غایب شد. از چشم همه اون موقع که این به زنش گفت مثل دود شد و گم شد اینجا تو اتاق. درک وا کردن که کسی نیست.
So the woman went into the room, and after a few seconds she was like, let me out. And then Rumi said, well, keep quiet, 1 night is 1,000 nights. It's not 1,000 nights. But then the wife said, but there is nobody here. Then Rumi goes inside, and sure enough, he wasn't there. So he asked what happened. The wife said, well, he said that if your husband, tell your husband if he wants to find me, I'm at Mahalle Khamushan, means the place of the silence, or people who have silence. So he can come and get me there. And just in front of me, he disappeared. He just become a smoke. Yeah, smoke and disappear.
ولی وقتی که صبح شد مولانا 2 تا اسب گرفت، یکی پسرش سوار شد، یکی خودش رفتن طرف تبریز. حالا به تبریز که رفتن از هر کس می‌پرسن محل خاموشی رفته. پسر بی اطلاعی می‌کنن ما اینجا محل خاموشی نداریم. تقریبا مدت زیادی تقریبا 5-6 ماهی هم تو تبریز معطل شد. هیچ کس بلد نبود محل خاموشی کجا هستش. چون که یکی از این روزا گفت که خب دیگه من که خسته شدم دیگه میرم کجا تبریز میرم و اونجا دیگه بس خیلی ناراحتی کشیدم. داشت میومد یه پیرمرد جلوش بود گفت از اینم سوال میکنم از این سوال که گفت که اینها این محل خاموش اونجا میبینیم گل دسته هستش. وقتی که رفتید اونجا قبرستان هستش و گل دسته یکی هستی بالا گل دسته داره عباس میریا وقتی گشت و نگاه بودی کرد دید که آره اینجا قبرستانه اما اون بالای قبرستان یکی هست داره از اون میگه بالای اون گل دسته. هیچی شمس تبریز مولانا رفت پای اون گل دسته و این تلفن رو گرفت رفت اون بالا تا رسید به شمس یا شمس گفت شمس پایینه بود اصلا باز پایین اومد باز می آمد یک روز صبح شب این عمل انجام داد و گفت من که خواستید این دفعه آقای قلوبم و قلوب بود گفت که اگر این دفعه این عمل بکنه شمس تبریز من که خودم از اون بالا پرت میکنم دیگه این زندگی من نکنم.
So he goes to Tabriz and then he wanders around for 5-6 months and he's asking people where is the place of the silence, where is the place of the silence, and nobody knew. So he was very tired of every day looking and searching. Then one day he wakes up and he says, well, if I can't find it today, I'm going to go back to my hometown. So an old man was passing by and he asked him, where is this place of silence? And then the old man said, well, it's right across the street, it's right here. And sure enough, it was a graveyard. So he goes in the graveyard and there was a tower in the middle and somebody was saying a prayer, a loud prayer. And so he goes and he sees, yes, it's for sure it was Shams Tabriz on top of the tower. So he climbs the stairs up, and as soon as he finds him, he wants to grab and hug him, and he says, Shams. Shams disappears. And then here he's at the bottom of the tower. So he goes down the stairs again and wants to get him again, and then Shams goes up again, like in a second. And that was going on from morning till evening, and it was getting dark, and he was breathless, and he was so tired and fed up. So while he was on the top, he said, if he's going to escape this time, I'm tired of this life, I'm tired of that, I'm just going to throw myself down from the tower down. And
حالا آخرین مرحله وقتی اینطور تصمیم گرفت دیگه دست از جون خودش هم شست گفت من دیگه این زندگی عمرم نمیخوام و تا گفت یا شمس و دید شمس پایین اونم خودش که فرق کرد از اون قدرت معنوی که داشت اون رو مثل یک توپی گرفت و تو بغل خودش و هر چی بایستی بهش بده و صفا و روحانیت بهش بخشید و خودش وقت مولانا رفت همینجا روم و پادشاه اون روم پسرش مرده بود.
So what happened was, he was up there and he says, Ya Shams, and Shams, sure enough, is down the stairs, and he says, I'm fed up, and then he throws himself down, and Shams, with his divine power, holds him, grabs him and holds him, and at that moment, he gives him what he deserves, which is, God's realization. And that means that once he have his life dedicated to him too, then he gets, God's realizations.
یعنی اون صفا روحانیت و پیشرفت روحانی همون موقع که دست از جون خودش شست و خودش ترک کرد مولانا گرفتش و هر چی بایستی بهش بده بهش داد.
یعنی وصل خدا رو بهش داد.
بله یعنی گیر کامل شد دیگه.
Yeah, at that time Rumi was also a perfect master. The moment that he holds him from the top.
اون وقت اونجا روم پادشاه روم اونجا پسرش مرده بود و آقا شمس تبریز از این خیلی از این کارا میکرد و به شاه رسوندن که این میتونه بندش کنه. شاه پرسید کجا حتی بیاریشو وقتی بردن شاه از شمس تبریز پرسید که میدن شما من پسرم مرده زنده میکنید صحیحه؟ گفت بله میکنم. و گفت خیلی خوب من عمرای لشکر تمام بزرگان شهر تمام میخوام جا بدم اینجا که بشینم و شما رو که زندش کردی اونام تمام باشه با خودشون بگیرم آفانینم گفت فردا صبح زود حالا امروز به شاگو فردا صبح زود گفت که هنوز تاریخ روشن هستش بیاید در دربار اینجا را بهتون میدم بیاتون.
Okay, at that time, the king had heard of the powers of Shams Tabriz, and the king's son had died a few days back, and people had mentioned that Shams Tabriz is able to bring back your son to you. So then he go and get Shams Tabriz and he says, can you make my son alive again? And he says, yes. So he said, well, then you come tomorrow morning at such a time. So I invite all the neighborhood kings and queens, and so we can see that my son rises and gets life back.
شام در اونجا دربانم سفارش کرده بود صبح زود وقتی که شمس تبریز رفت دم در رابش دادن و بردن دیدن مردمان شهر امرای بزرگان امرای لشکر همه صندلی گذاشتن نشستن سر شام دیگه خاک کرده بودنش بو گرفته بوده شستن و تو تابوت گذاشتن و حالا یه جایگاهی درست کردن شاپیش نشسته یه من 5-6 متر فاصله یکی هم برای شمس تبریز پرون درست کرده بودن و شمس تبریز بردن و شاه گفت که خوبی پسر من بردن و تو تابوت گذاشتن شمس تبریز قدم دانم یواش یواش رفت و نزدیک به اون تابوت و گفت که ای فلانی اسمش گفت و به اذن شاه به اذن خدا زنده شد این زنده نشد و اینم برگشت و قدم زنون 2 مرتبه طرف آن جایگاه که ساخته بودن براش شاه گفت که زنده نشد چه مولانا کی شمس تبریز رفت تو جایگاه خودش 2 مرتبه قدم زنون کم کم جلو رفت نزدیک به اون تابوت مرده اسمش هم پرسیده بود ای فلانی پسر پادشاه به اسم من که شمس تبریز اون موقع گفت به اسم خدا بلند نشد حالا این دفعه شمس تبریز گفت به فرمان من بلند شد تا گفت به فرمان من بلند شد اون مرده بلند شد تو تابوت نشست و 20 سال دیگه هم زندگی کرد اون مرده الی آخرش.
So, all the heads of the army, everybody was gathering there in order to see the magic of Shams Tabriz. And they have built a little room next to the king for Shams Tabriz. And, in 6-7 meters, they had brought out the king's son out of the grave. And the body had already deteriorated and started to smell even. So they had washed the body and put it right there. So Shams Tabriz walks there and he says the name of the son and he says, you, the son of the king, in the name of God, rise. And nothing happens. And he walks back again and the king says, what happened? Nothing happened. Then the Shams says, just wait. Then he goes back again and he says, you, the son's king, in the name of Shams Tabriz, rise. And sure enough, the son rises.
این تو کتاب گادسپیتسم بابام فرموده مختصرم تو نوشته که وقتی که گفت به اذن خدا بلند شد بلند نشد اما گفت به اذن من بلند شد.
And it's even written in God Speaks, that story that you get up in the name of God, but Baba has says that he didn't get up, but once he says in the name of Shamsa Tabriz get up, he gets life and gets up. And then he lives for another 20 years after that.
I think in the section of God is talking about miracle. I think in that section.
دیگه اون قسمتی که بابا تو God Speak راجع به معجزات صحبت کرده، اینم صحبت کرده، نه؟
بله. که او به ابن خدا بلند نشد، به ابن او بلند شد.
اما چرا حالا به اسم
اون خدایی که شمس تبریز چیز اون بود، او خودش خدای بیدار بود. این خدا که مثلا اقیانوس بی انتها و معلوم نیست انتهاش کجا هست، انتها داره یا نداره، هستش، اما از خودش که خدا هستش خبری نداره. حتما اون رو بایستی بیاد اشکالها جسمها طی کنه، از حیوانی و انسانی تا از انسانی هم خدا برسه، اون وقت بیدار میشه، اون خدای بیدار هست.
I asked the question why that when he said in the name of Shams Tabriz you get up, he gets up, but not in the name of God. He says because Shams Tabriz is awakened God, but God is the infinite knowledge, but it's not it doesn't have the. It's not personified. It doesn't have the power to wake up, and then based on the evolution of consciousness and all that, soul has to go through all this path in order to experience that power. So the story is done. If you have any question, welcome to ask.
I have one question. Where is that in God Speaks again? What part?
I think the section is God is talking about miracles.
Here.
Different kind, and the explanation as to why.
In supplementary?
I think so, yes, it is exactly.
Yes.
I have seen Esfandiar, he oftentimes talks about internal work and constant effort and to remember Baba, and not just the remembrance, but keep that link, with Baba and just have an effort ongoing without even getting tired of it or getting disappointed and so forth. And I've seen that is not very common in West. Including myself, I began to get inspired by some of Esfandiar's talk, and I tried to get up early in the morning and begin the meditation and so forth, but quite honestly, it didn't work as much for me, whereas I know in some point Baba has talked about selfless service in West, and he emphasizes probably meditation and internal work more on it. So what I would like to know, what does Esfandiar think about this? And if you could a little bit elaborate about that internal work.
عمو جان میپرسن که شما میگید که بس آدم کار درونی بکنه، یعنی مراقبه بکنه، بابا رو تو درونش یاد بکنه و دوست داشته باشه که به خدا نزدیکتر بشه. بعد یه جای دیگه بابا گفته که تو دنیای غرب اون خدمت بلا انتظاره که روحو به من نزدیک میکنه و حالا من میخوام شما نظرتون رو بدید که کدومش بهتره که میتونم بکنم، یا دوتاش خوبه یا اینجا خدمت بکنم بهتره.
البته خدمت بیریا بکنم اونطوری که بابا فرموده اون درسته. البته در ایران طور دیگه و یعنی چیز محیطش طوری هستش که اونجا طرف حقیقت بهتر میشه رفت، اونجا کمتر میشه رفت. اون طوری که بابا دستگاه داده اون درست.
Whatever Baba had ordered you to do, you have to follow. In Iran, it's easier to, go take that inner path and work. But over here, it seems more difficult. And of course, the selfless service, if it's really selfless and honest service, that's the best thing you can do. That's what Baba asks all of us to do. So practically, whatever Baba has asked us to do, we have to just follow. Any other questions?
Well, also in Baba's My Wish, he says, do not shirk your responsibilities. So that's one of the things, the ways to follow Baba everywhere. That's how I try and do it.
عمو جان میگن که بابا حتی یکی از دستوراتش این بوده که از مسئولیت‌های دنیوی خود سر باز نزنید و ما اینجا سعی میکنیم که هر مسئولیتی که بابا بهمون داده به بهترین وجهی انجام بدیم.
Yes.
Has he gotten any impression since he's been here about the United States and the people here in the West as far as spiritual or going?
میگم از وقتی که شما تو آمریکا بودید این محیط آمریکا این چه تأثیری روتون گذاشته؟ یعنی به نظر شما ما آینده‌ای داریم که بریم پیش بابا؟ وضعمون خوبه، وضعمون خرابه؟ از لحاظ درونی شما راجع به این ملت و این کشور چه احساسی میکنید؟
خب من البته فعالیت باید کنم، فعالیت درونی باید کنم. چیزی نیستش. ببین مولانا این داستان من برای همین مخصوصا میگفتم که ببین چه رنگ ها بود، چه تفریات بود، از ناموزش حتی گذشت. و اینکه جایی که بایستی بهش برسه خب شخص تحمیل دارد.
Well, he answered that of course you have to work harder in whatever way you want to do and see what Shams had made Maulana to go through, even to give his wife, and even to give away his life. So it's I think everything is in your hand. If you want to reach Baba, you have to work for it. No matter where. Yes.
You said internal effort. What do you mean by that?
عمو جان میگن که شما گفتید کار درونی. منظورتون از این چیه؟
کار درونی که کنم که مراقبه هستش. ببین ما الان خیال میکنیم ما این بدن خاکی هستیم. این که خب یه روی میریم و خاک میشه و میره. اصل اون درون ما هستش. اون قدرت یعنی اون روحمون بابا هستش که در همه ما هستش و اون دیگه به حساب نمیاد، نمیشه فکرش کرد که چطور چجور. بابا همه جا در همه جا همه نقطه هست، وجود داره، همه چیز میفهمه. اگر در واقع ایمانی که مولانا داشت و شما داشته باشید میتونیم بابا بگید.
Well, he said that if you had the faith that Maulana had to his master Shams, you have that to Baba, of course that will take you a long way ahead. And what it means with the internal work is, of course, thinking deeply and meditation and knowing that Baba is soul and you are soul, and it's in oneness. You have to experience the oneness in your soul. So that's the end of the journey. Right.
I know that Sufism, they believe in suffering for spiritual growth, that suffering is necessary in this world, but Baba doesn't mention that you have to suffer in order to have spiritual growth. Was he a Sufi? Because I know that he loved Hafiz, he read his books, and he believed in Sufism, and he believed in God intoxication, the wine. Actually, Adele gave me some readings. He compares the wine and being intoxicated in wine, Hafiz does, with being intoxicated with God. That the Sufism in Hafiz's books are really being intoxicated with God, not wine. Does he believe that Baba was a Sufi, or because Baba doesn't really say that you need to suffer in order to have a spiritual growth? Do you understand?
Yeah. عمو جان، به نظر شما بابا میپرسن که صوفی بوده، چون صوفی‌ها یه اعتقادی دارن که آدم باید رنج بکشه در واسه که خدا رو پیدا بکنه، باید زحمت زیاد، رنج و عذاب بکشه. ولی به نظر شما عرفان بابام همینو میگه؟ این سوالتون رو؟
اون مسیحی داره به ایمان ما این رو عرب با کار کردن رو دعوت کشیدم باشم و لطفت خداوند خیلی کار کنه. انسان بایستی اون درونش اون قدرت درونی داشته باشه که با بابا عشق ورزش.
It all depends to your faith, and you have to have that inner power in order to love God. If you don't have that inner power, you won't be able to love God, and you need to have that faith. Yes.
Just in response, you were asking, was Meherabad a Sufi? No, but Sufism was reoriented under his direction. Their charter was rewritten under Meherabad's direction. And he, I'm going to paraphrase so anybody else can jump in here. Baba said that one of the reasons for physical suffering is to unwind samskaras or impressions that you brought in. And so if somebody else can quote exactly, feel free.
اون آدم زجر و عذاب و اینا واسه اینه که گناهاش داره پاک میشه، نه؟
البته اینا کشی اعمال قبلی هست، این زنگی که بکشه مال مثلا من در زندگی پیشم چه کارهایی کردم الان بایستی به وسیله این وسیله، یعنی این بدن، این تن که خدا به من داده، اون روح من این بدن قرار داره و بایستی اون زنگی که به کسی دیگه دادم یا مال مردم خوردم، مال مخورم، زنگ بگیرم، دو مرتبه عقوبتش بگیرم، همه اینا هست. مگر اینکه فعالیت درونی بکنم به طرف اصل خودم. اون راه اینکه بابا کمکشون بکنه، اون راه درونی، راه عشق باز میشه برشون، یعنی در درونشون باز میشه و هر کجا که با تفعله میکنه بابا همونجا هستش، همونجا جوابشون.
Yeah, of course, all these pains and miseries that we experience with our physical body is due to our past lifetimes. And for example, if we hurt somebody, if we take somebody's money, in our last lifetime, then this lifetime we have to experience the opposite way. That means somebody else going to take all our money and all that. But the truth is you have to have the faith and you have to deeply be in tune with yourself and know the mission of your life, that why you are alive, and hopefully Baba's grace will be fallen on us, and we can kind of escape from all those pains and miseries and all that karmas coming back to us by His grace. Adel and then Roya. Yes, Adel.
I think another good word for faith. Baba once talked to us about faith and conviction. And he said it was no accident that people had stronger conviction than others. It was a question of an accumulation of that treasure of experience, where you gain the grace and you get an inner validation, which is different words of yours, conviction, faith. But Baba said it's a real accumulation of experience of such a kind, where you've had His grace and you no longer in flesh. It's His grace that gives you this conviction.
میگم همون بخشش و نظر خداوندیه که شما اون ایمان و اون ایمان رو به دست میارید به بابا. یعنی اگر اون نظر بابا رو آدم نباشه، آدم نمیتونه حتی عاشق بابا بشه. Yes.
Yeah, in other words, there's no accident. I mean, if you want to say that you want to have a strong faith, it just doesn't happen until you've earned it.
Yeah. شما باید شایسته اون محبت الهی باشید. آدم تو شایسته نباشه تصادفی به خدا ایمان نمیاره.
شمس تبریدم از تبرید اومده روم که روم پای تخت بود تقریبا 2-3 روز باز اصل می اومدن اونجا. خب اومد چی برای که مولانا آمادگی اون رو داشت، یعنی از زنش، از ثروتش، از دارایی، از همه چیز گذشت، اما مولانا رو برمد.
You see, the story between Shams Tabriz and Rumi, just Shams coming to Rumi's life was because it was Rumi's time, and he had that capability. He had that soul advancement that Shams came to his life to give him God realization.
There's always progress on the path that one earns. It's part of the whole progression.
Yeah, that's why he says that we have to earn it.
Yes.
Whether we live in the West or in the East, whether we do self-help service or we do meditation, you have to do it. Practically.
I had one point is that my father met Baba for the first time in 1952 in Dearborn. He spelled out on the alphabet board his message to me. His main message was, as my father said, I guess that I need more faith. And he spelled out, faith and love are one and the same. And that was his message to my father. And my father, out of the faith for Baba and his devotion and love, worked as a waiter for 26 years in one place. And Baba told him to not change her present job. He insisted that he stay there. So,
عمو جان، ایشون توضیح میدن که پدرشون که بابا رو دیده بودن از واسه بابا یه نوشته‌ای دادن به بابا که توش بوده که بابا کمک بکن که من به تو ایمانم رو بیشتر بکنم بهت. بعد بابام جواب دادن که ایمان همون عشقه و اینو دوتا چیز جدا ندونسته باش.
مراحل عشق خیلی بیشتر بالاتر است، برای اینکه عشق اگر باشه خدا رو پیدا میکنه. من مثلا عشق داشته باشم، من نتونستم پیدا کنم. اون عشقی که در من تولد پیدا کرده، اون بابا رو پیدا میکنه.
Well, he says that the love is so precious that it's love itself that will find God, that will find Baba. If I'm talking about Baba, it's not me. If I'm telling my experience about Baba, it's not me. It's that love in me who gained and who knows Baba.
It's about the internal experience of Baba with him.
Yes.
I get that from him.
That's so beautiful.
I just had a small question. Does it matter what you do in this life? Do you, like, if I choose to serve God, I just come to this center and, do meditation and all of that and try to help other people. Is it the same as if I was helping a cause like, battered women, shelters, or because I did some volunteer work. But the cause that is very close to your heart, for me, would be that, but also there's God. But for somebody like me who goes through all these hospital stays and all of that, if you have a very little time that you feel okay, and nothing is painful and you can sit and do something, is it okay just to come to this center and just meditate at home and try to be, live life spiritually? Or if I go and work in a shelter, which one is better? Or should I do both?
عمو جان میپرسن که به نظر شما کدوم بهتره؟ من بیام اینجا تو سنتر پیغامای بابا رو بخونم یا مدیتیشن بکنم، خدمت بکنم اینجا، یا اینکه برم مثلا توی جاهایی که از آدمای مریض نگهداری میکنن برم خدمت اون آدمای مریض یا بچه‌های بی‌بضاعت، یا یعنی برم خدمت خلق اونطوری بکنم بابا بیشتر خوشنود میشه، یا بیام اینجا مدیتیشن مراقبه بکنم رو بابا، رو عکس بابا؟ کدوم بهتره که بابا خوشحال میشه از من؟
خب البته اگر بتونه رو بابا مراقبه بکنه، کار بکنه و امورات خودش هم اداره کنه، اون عالی‌ترین.
Of course, what I do is love Baba and think of Baba and try to fulfill your responsibility at the same time. That's the best you can do. Yes.
That's exactly right. And whatever one does, it doesn't matter whether you're sweeping the floor or doing some great noble deed. It isn't in that. It's the intensity of loving Baba. Just like Esfandiar says. As long as your mind is serving Baba, as long as that's the end and the means, as much as possible.
That is to obey Baba.
That's all that really matters.
میگه عمو آدم هر کاری میخواد بکنه بس بکنه، ولی تو ذهنش همیشه اینو بس با خودش داشته باشه که داره به بابا خدمت میکنه و به بابا عشق ورزی بکنه، چه دستش توی کارهای سنتر باشه یا کارهای دنیا باشه، فقط تو اینو به خاطر داشته باشه که داری واسه بابا خدمت میکنه، همش مال باباست.
البته اون ذهن چندان ارزشی نداره که بابا اشتغالی بکنه، با ذهن خودش، یعنی با مغز خودش اگه خواسته باشه اشتغالی بکنه اون ارزشی نداره. اگر بتونه روح خودش بتونه بذاری که الان بدن خودش حقش بهش میرسه، بهش دوستش داره، خوراک بهش میده، اون روح خودش رو میکنه که خواهان اون روحش هستش، اون روحش چی میخواد، کجا میخواد بره، هدفش زندگی چی هست، اون بهانه عالی‌تر از همه هست و اونم در راه بابا غیر ممکنه هر کجا بره بتونه از طریقه روح خودش بتونه بابا رو دوست بداره. نگیری به بابا من قربونتم دوست بدارم، میتونی با زبون نرم با اون طرف ذهن خودش که روحش باشه، روحاً گسیدش باشه.
دیگه همه میشن هر مقام بالای بالا و تمام کائنات میخوایم همه میشن خدا.
Well, he said this point that it's it's okay with our mind thinking of Baba and use our mind, but the best is that to realize that we have a soul and what is the aim of our life, and we have to nourish that soul, and how it's like taking care of this, the same that you're taking care of this physical body. You have to pay attention to that inner soul, and if you can love Baba with that soul is the best. So verbally saying that Baba June, I love you, that's or thinking of Baba, that how sweet Baba is, that takes us somewhere. But the best way is that your soul loves Baba.
Let me make a comment. You were talking about the subject that when we are doing something, we have to focus on Baba, that Baba is doing, not me. I think Baba has said, and Darwin also in the book, recent book, also mentioned, this is a matter of binding, because whatever we do, we are creating binding. So when my hand is tied up with the iron or the gold, it doesn't make any difference. I don't have a freedom. So in order to prevent binding, so we have to do it in such a way that I am an instrument for Baba to do this thing. So this way, you will be able to prevent binding. Otherwise, it is tiny iotas of feeling that our ego usually doing it for us. That I am doing it. Or leave me because I am doing something good. I'm calling binding for us.
Don't take the credit.
ایشون میگن که همون چیزی که چی میگن دست به کار و دل به یار، منظورشون اینه که آدم هر کاری که میکنه وابسته به اون کارش نباشه، همش رو بذاره روی پای بابا، نه خوبش رو بخواد نه بدش رو بخواد، یعنی خودش رو فراموش بکنه و همه کاری که داره میکنه رو بسپاره دست بابا.
Also, Mom, in 1956 at Newark Airport, we were telling one story about how Erish was just saying Bob was up on that, shoe stand, and your feet, shine, and he sat up there, and everyone was in a queue, and they were all saying, "Love me," but Erish was interpreting for Bob was saying, "Love me more and more, love me more and more." That was his main thing, just saying it over and over again. Remember that, Mom? Do you have any comment on that?
You forgot the famous line.
Well, you can say that.
Because Father said no. He doesn't want me to love him. And then Father looked at him and Erish interpreted. He said, "You have them."
So what? You have the love.
So it went from low to high.
یک نفسمون علی باقی باشه که با عشق خدا عبادت بکنیم، بهتر از 1000 سال اون عبادت رو ظاهری است. قلباً با
He says that if we can love Baba for 1 second wholeheartedly, it's better than thousands of years of prayers and thinking of Baba and saying things. So just 1 second wholeheartedly loving Baba.
Quick is always the best.
Quick is always the best.
Just where do thoughts come from in the first place? You know, and once if you dedicated yourself to Baba, whatever you do isn't really wrong. It may seem wrong at the time, but somehow Baba will use it and help you with it. So I think trusting the impulses that you get, and she's interested in shelters for women. Trust that. Trust yourself. You know, give yourself to Baba. And the doors will open if it's the right thing. And even if they close, then maybe it's the right thing in some way. You know?
Recently, I was in the hospital for a couple of months, and I just want to say that I know that he's not going to like this, but this gentleman over here, Dr. Ajay, has been a tremendous example of being spiritual. And so I just want to thank both of them, and also Mrs. Ajay, because he never takes credit for anything that he does, but he has helped me a lot and my family. And he has touched my heart. And another instance, 2 years ago, he helped my family, and he deposited a check, I think for $1,000, and we couldn't figure out who that was who made the donation, and we just found out like a year after that it was him, and he didn't ever say that I did it, but I made the donation, or there was a fundraising for the incident that I was involved in, and his wife, the same thing. I just get too emotional when I talk about it. We were going to downtown to buy some flowers. Mrs. Ajay was going to do the flowers, and we just had just a little bit. I didn't do much, but and the whole time this lady was with Baba, talking to Baba, and singing with Baba, and I was in the hospital because I was very depressed, and I didn't want to live anymore because of what happened to me, and I lost my daughter. But they just changed my life. Just coming here and introduce Baba to my family and me, and just the fact that he and his wife never ever take credit for anything that they do. Just they do it, and they do it for Baba, and it's unbelievable. I just want to thank him.
Thank you, Baba.
Thank you.
Quick question. اما میزنی بسه عمو بگم که عمو جان این خانوم میگن که یه 3 سال پیش یه تصادفی داشتن 3 سال پیش ایشون یه تصادفی داشتن که در اون دختر کوچیکشون فوت کرد بعد میگفتن که دکتر آژنگ و خانومشون خیلی با محبت اومدن تو زندگی ما و کمک کردن و ایشون بودن که در واقع ما رو آوردن پیش بابا و خدمت بلا انتظار رو در واقع اونا دارن میکنن و ایشون یه مقدار تشکر کردن از
I have to mention the key players of Adelbon.
عادلم همینطور عادلم اومد تو زندگیشون کمکشون کرد و حالا Lucky, Adele, and Dr. Ashram got the opportunity to serve you. And Nasreen, خانومشون هم.
Well, that's selfless service, right? Help each other.
He says, lucky them. Charlie has a question for a long time.
I wanted to hear if after the Prem Ashram, when he came home, how did his mother and his father and the others in his family, did they see his love affair with Baba as a blessing for their family, or how did it take place as far as, was it a separation between him and his family, or did it, what took place over the years? That after those 2 years he spent with Baba.
میگه اما سوال ایشون اینه که شما اون 2 سال که تو هند بودید بعد اومدید برگشتید ایران، بعد این خانواده‌تون مامان و بابا و خواهر برادرها چجوری شما رو باتون رفتار کردن یا شما چجوری با اونا رفتار میکردید؟ آیا مثلا عشق شما رو به بابا میفهمیدن اونا یا شما مخفی میشدید به بابا عشق ورزی میکردید؟ آیا مامانتون چیزی حس کرده بود؟ تأثیری گذاشته بودید تو زندگی اونا؟
بله، من همیشه کتاب بابا طاهر خونده بودم که در سرما و یخبندان زمستون کوه الوان افتاده بود تو یخ و سرما و اینقدر یخ و برف میومد این اطراف بود که گیاه بهاری سبز شده بود و اونجا با خدای خودش عشق‌ورزی و عشق‌ورزی می‌کرد. من کتاب بابا طاهر وقتی خوندم مگر بدن انسان گوشت و خون و پوست و استخوان نیستش. آب تو لوله آهن باشه یخ بزنه میترکونه، سنگیکو رو میشکنه، اون بدن اون دیگه هم سنگیکو و اون لوله هم محکم‌تر میده. من که دیگه کتابش نخوندم خوشم نمیومد، یه اقرار میکرد.
اما جان ایشون سوال میکنن که مامان و بابا و ایناتون راجع به بابا چه فکری میکردن وقتی که شما برگشتید از
مادرم خیلی مادرش اما پدرم نه.
My mom loved Baba very much, but my father, he said no. بعد فهمیده بودن که شما دارید درونی کار میکنید به بابا عشق میورزید وقتی که از پرم اشرام اومدید میفهمیدن؟
مادرم خیلی ایمان داشت اما پدرم نه.
Yeah, my mom had lots of faith in Baba, but my father no. So I don't think he wants to talk about.
Did she ever get a chance to see Baba?
He did. Yeah, both of them, the father and mother, both saw Baba. When Baba went to Yazd, Baba visited Esfandiar's home. And I remember he mentioned that his mother made a quilt and had it in the balcony and was telling all the kids not to go and sit down because I made this for Baba. Baba's supposed to sit there. And sure enough, when Baba comes to their home, goes straight and sits on the quilt.
Yes, Marco. I have 2 questions. One is I have a question about samskaras and I don't know which one I should ask. And the second one I'd like to ask him to share how Baba, was feeding the Prem Ashram boys and especially his personal experience he had when Baba was feeding him the food.
So let me ask
please that.
Amu Jan, Baba یادتونه که به بچه‌ها با دست خودش غذا میداد؟ به شما هم داده. میتونید کمی توضیح بدید چی شد؟
غذا نمی‌خوردیم، ما همش مراقبه می‌کردیم، بابا ما رو می‌شوند و دست خودش غذا دهنمون.
عمو جان احساسش حالتش برامون بگی.
حالتش چطور میشم نمی‌تونم بگم.
You have to explain it.
دیگه شاعران میگه شرح عشقش در بیان کس نیاید ای نیاز این چنین اطرار را شرح و بیان دیگر است.
Well, you heard what Mahu asks. Mahu asked that, do you remember that Baba had fed some of the kids, and then Amu said Baba has also fed me with his hands. And he says, we kids, we were so intoxicated and we were all doing meditation, so we wouldn't even pay attention of eating. And so Baba himself would come and feed us, make sure that we get enough meal. And then Mahu was asking, what was it feel, to be fed by hands of God. And Amos said, how can I explain it? I cannot explain. Yeah, and he read the little poem that it says it's very secretive. I cannot even describe the blessing that fall on me.
Answer the question now in next incarnation of Avatar, so you would have chance.
I hope so. I'm asking him.
You still have time.
He let me to come back with you.
One more time in this life.
Yes. Did he have any feelings of love for God that were unique before he went to Baba? Did he feel any special drawing? I mean, did he feel a closeness with God that was unique to himself?
دیگه عمو جان میپرسن که قبل از اینکه برید پیش بابا آیا خدا رو دوست داشتید؟ یه عشقی به خدا داشتید قبل از اینکه بابا رو بشناسید و برید پیش بابا؟ No, I would just do my own regular prayer that they taught me to do before going to Baba. هیچ احساسی به خدا نداشتید اون موقع که حالا Yeah, I was based on what they taught me was God is invisible. You cannot see God with eyes. So I didn't even know that we have to love God. So I just was doing my prayer before meeting Baba and knowing him.
What year was it?
چه سالی بودم؟ یادتونه چه سالی بود؟ 27 شما رفتید به 1927 he was with Baba.
This one, how old were you then?
میگم وقتی بابا رو دیدید شما چند سالتون بود؟ Didn't have more than 14. اما هیچ سخن آخری دارید که به ما بگید؟ نصیحت ندارید نصیحت؟
من سلام داشتم گفتم بابا رو دوست بدید.
The only advice is love Baba.
That easy.
There is no more to that. It's just love Baba.
I take my father's phrase, faith and love are one and the same.
Faith.
Faith.
Faith. Faith and love.
Faith and love are one and the same.
In the question of loving Baba, and it is really as simple as that, and you come to think of it. But again, going back to the story of our creation and our accumulated sanskaras and so forth, many times in our daily life and so forth, you can see really this burden of sanskaras and how you can easily get drawn into it. And then while you're in there, you probably don't notice it, and then you suddenly get awake and say, oh, okay, here's what it goes, and I have this too, and I have that too, and so forth. So if Ammo has anything to share with us as to how could we rise above it? I mean, is there any way that we could rise above it and not to get very drawn into it?
همون محبوبه میپرسه که توی این دنیا اینقدر سانسکاراهامون زیاده که هممون گرفتاریم، هممون پامون تو گله. ما چه کار بکنیم که بیایم از این مرحله بیایم بالاتر و خودمون رو نجات بدیم؟
بابا اصلا زندگی ما رو وسط دریا قرار داده، میگه تر نشی، مواظب باش که تر نشی.
Yeah, Baba has put us in the middle of the sea, advising that do not get wet.
نداری آغاز و انجام نداری همتا و رمانان بیرون از تصور و ریاضی و فهم ما نارسا به شناخت تو که بیرنگ و بی بیان بی شکل و بی نشان و بسر از رحم و زمان توی نامحدود و بیکران نیستی ناپدید جاودان ماورای تصور و گمان توی بخش ناشدنی و توی نادیدنی مگر به دیده دل باطنی توی که همیشه بودی همیشه هستی و همیشه خواهی بود توی در همه جا و در همه چیز و توی اون سوی همه جا و همه چیز توی در آسمان ها و در جرح دریاها توی آشکارا و در همه طبقات و هم سوی طبقات توی در عالم سگانه هم بالاتر از عالم سگانه توی بی‌نیاز و بدتر از توانایی ادراک توی آفریدگار خداوند خداوندان و دانای رازهای نهان از دیدگان پنهان و در دلها عیان توی توانای کل در همه حال و همه جا حاضر و ناظر توی دانش بیکران نیروی بیکران و ظهور بیکران توی دریای معرفت و دانای مطلق و دانش بیکران دانای از گذشته حال و آینده و توی خود دانش و سرچشمه معرفت توی بخشنده کل سرور کائنات و خیرخواه جاویدان توی جان جانان و دارای صفات جاودان توی بانشان و بینشان توی ذات سگانه راستی معرفت و سرور توی سرچشمه حقیقت و اقیانوس مهر و محبت توی یگانه قدیم و برترین برتر توی کابو از نشوت توی اون سوی خدا و اون سوتر توی پرابرما الله الهی یزدان اهورامزدا خداوندگار محبوب نام و دیزد و تنها توی شایسته پرستش اوم پرابرما پرماتما یا یزدان لا اله الا الله خداوندگارا محبوبم پروردگارا بخشایشگرا از هر گناه و اندیشه ناپاک ناروا و نادرست خود و گفتارهایی که نبایست به زبان آورد و اعمالی که نبایست از ما سر زند پشیمانی و آموزش می‌طلبیم از گفتار و کردار و اندیشه‌ای که ناشی از خودخواهی از گفتار و کردار و اندیشه‌ای که ناشی از کینه فساد و نفرت بوده توبه می‌نماییم به ویژه از خیالات نفسانی و کردارهای شهوانی دروغ و تدبیر و روی ریا و پیمانهای شکسته و بدگویی‌ها و غیبت مرتکب شده‌ایم شرمنده و توبه می‌نماییم بخصوص از کردارهایی که سبب زیان و خرابی دیگران گشته و گفتار و کرداری که باعث آزادگی خاطر دیگران شده و هر خواهشی که موجب اندوه و درد دیگران گشته شرمنده و توبه می‌نماییم خداوندا از رحمت بیکران خواستاریم تمام گناه‌هایی که از ما سر زده ببخشایی و غفلت دوامی ما در پیروی از خواسته تو در اندیشه و گفتار و کردار بیاموزیم
Avatar Meherabad ki jai. Avatar Meherabad ki jai. Avatar Meherabad ki jai.
Thank you, Esfandiar.